Well, it's Thursday morning, November 2nd, I believe. It's probably about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're standing here in the northwest corner of the old city. The Damascus Gate is down here, and we're going to take a walk around the old city. We're going to start here on the north side, and we're going to head east. And from east, we're going to go south, and then south, we're going to head back to the west side. And we'll end up at the Jaffa Gate, which is right over here, up in front of us here, maybe about a quarter mile. So we're going to end up at the Jaffa Gate. And right now we're at the northwest corner of the old city, and we're going to take a walk around the wall of the old city. I'll try to keep the camera as steady as I can as we go, give you an idea of what it looks like here. Again, this is the northwest corner of the old city. We're going to take a walk around the old city. This is Jaffa Street over here, Jaffa Street. Probably the most popular street in Jerusalem. It's right up the road there. The train goes down there now. The train is kind of recently. I think that started operating maybe a year ago, a little over a year ago. It took them a couple years to build. But it runs all down Jaffa Street and then comes around and goes up by the Damascus Gate and back up north. So that's Jaffa Street there, and that's the way we're going to head. So let's start walking. I'll try to keep the camera as steady as I can. I'll have to shut it off occasionally unless we walk fast. It's a 2.8 mile walk around the old city. The walls stretch about 2.8 miles around the city. I'll give you a little brief description of the walls around the old city as we go along here. See the surrounding area. Sun's coming up. Yeah, the walls of the city, they go from 5 meters to 15 meters high. That's meters, not feet. So it's 5 meters to 15 meters high. Meters roughly around 3 feet. Meters roughly around 3 feet, right? That's quite high at times, as you'll see as we go along here. 15 meters would be roughly about 42 feet. And it's morning in Jerusalem. Everybody's getting up, getting ready to go to work. I don't think the city opens up here until about 9 o'clock. About the only things that are open now would be the coffee shops to get people going. That's the tram I was talking about here. It's going in front of the Damascus Gate, which is where we're heading right now. It just came down Jaffa Street. Jaffa Street, everything's on Jaffa. Well, not everything, but Jaffa Street's probably the busiest street and the most popular street, in Jerusalem. This is the new gate. This is a new gate leading into the old city here. And that was erected in, looks like, I'm sorry, I don't know the dates here that accurately, but it looks like 1948, 17th day of August in 1948. And this is the new gate heading into the old city. We're going to head on down the Damascus Gate. So that's the new gate. A little bit about the history. Israel, the Jordanians occupied in 1948. They occupied the old city. In the 1967 war, the Israelis got it back. The Israeli paratroopers recaptured the old city and they got it back. When the Jordanians owned it, the Arabs, they evicted all the Jews out of the city. They evicted them out of the city, so Jews were not allowed in the old city. So when Israeli paratroopers got it back, of course the Jews moved back in. So you can understand their, how happy they were to recapture the old city. The city of David, by the way, not the city of Muhammad. The city of David. So again, that was in the 1967 war that the Israeli paratroopers recaptured the old city Jerusalem from the Jordanians. Heading down the hill here, this is the north side of the city. The Mount of Olives, of course, is on the east side of the city. And here's the walls. So we'll be taking a look at the walls as we go along the city here, huh? Feels like an idea. It's the new gate up there from where we just came. And we're heading down to the Damascus Gate. It's pretty much what you see here is what you're going to see until we get there. It's maybe not even about a quarter mile away, the Damascus Gate. And we'll pick the video back up then. Yeah, we're still heading towards the Damascus Gate here. I wanted to get a picture of the walls here. And the sun coming up. This little grassy area here. There's not too many grassy areas in Israel. Around the Mediterranean, of course, there is with all the moisture, but inland it's pretty much a lot of rock and sand. What makes Israel so fascinating, because it's the one piece of property, it's the one piece of real estate on the planet that the Almighty calls his own. Of course, he owns the whole planet, but Israel is his. Now we're heading down here. This is the Muslim section, like I mentioned, the Arab section. So pretty much are all Muslims, if not all of them. There are Arab Christians and so forth. But pretty much all Muslims. So we're heading into the Arab section here. Damascus Gate is the Arab section. It's all Arabs when you go through there. In part 2 of the video, the tour around the old city, part 2, which I'll be posting, we take a walk from the Kotel. The Kotel, of course, is the Western Wall or the Wailing Wall. We're going to take a walk. We take a walk from the Wailing Wall to the Damascus Gate. So if you want to go to part 2 video of the old city, you can see the Damascus Gate. We'll be taking a look at it here, but I'm not going to walk into it here. We're going to walk around the city. And like I said, this is a 2.8 mile walk, so hopefully we can get it all covered on the time allotted on this video here. So it's the north side of the old city. Of course, the most populated area of the new city. The old city here where we're circling right now is pretty much in the southern part of the city of Jerusalem. The walls around the old city here, you see the buildings on the other side there. Lots of people live here. Presently there's 22,000 Arabs. 22,000 Arabs, and this is the Arab section we're on right now on this side. 22,000 Arabs that live in the old city, and there's roughly 2,500 Jews that live in the old city. So even though in 48, when Jordan controlled it, the Jews got thrown out, and they came back in when Israel captured it in 1967. Now the Arabs outnumber the Jews. Even though the Jews control the city, they outnumber them almost 10 to 1. A number of, I think in a number of tapes, I know I mentioned in the past, and I keep thinking this, because of the population, I say the smallest population, the smallest area is the Jewish quarter. That's not true. The smallest area in the old city, there's the Muslim quarter, which is the largest, the Christian quarter, and the Armenian quarter, and the Jewish quarter. The Jewish quarter is not the smallest quarter. The Armenian quarter is. I know I said it before, I keep saying the Jewish quarter, but the population of the Jews, well, even they're not the less. I suppose the Armenians are even a lot less than them. I'm not sure how many. So the smallest quarter of the old city is the Armenian quarter, and then the Jewish quarter. The largest quarter is the Muslim quarter. And the people unloading their goods here, getting ready. They're going to be bringing them inside the city. And I'm going to turn this off until we get in front of the Muslim Damascus Gate here. So we pause here, take a little look around. Damascus Gate is right up here, maybe about 500 yards. I'll turn it back on at that point. It's the bus station, Arab section of town. Okay, I'll turn it back on when we get to Damascus Gate, which is right over here, about maybe 500 feet ahead. And this is the Damascus Gate. So if you go to part 2 of the old city tour, you'll see the end of that coming through from the inside out. This is the Damascus Gate. Again, we're on the northern side of the old city. It's one of the larger gates in the old city. I'd say the most used gate in the old city would be the Dung Gate on the south side, which we'll be taking a look at, and the Jaffa Gate. Jaffa Gate. my opinion would be, it'd probably be the most popular and most used gate in the old city. This is the Damascus Gate. And like I said, this is the Arab section of town here. This place will be in about an hour. There'll be all kind of Arabs and Muslims sitting down here selling their wares, and inside the gate, of course, there's lots and lots of them. It's a whole Muslim quarter. We're going to keep continuing around here and head to the south side of, or the east side of the city. Yeah, this street here, of course, it's all Arabs, all Muslims. Because if you're a Jew, you don't want to walk down here by yourself. There's a good chance you might get harassed by the young Arabs that are on the street here. More than once I've walked down here, and boy, they sat there like plotting, like whether they should come after me or not. One time I was walking down here, I had a little backpack, and an Arab man's pushing against me, trying to sell me a poster card. Well, he wouldn't quit. He was real persistent. And I kept saying, low, 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 low. And I was yelling, low, no, no. And then I realized when he finally left, when I turned around, he was unzipping my backpack. He was opening my backpack. As he was nudging me, trying to get me to buy this postcard, he was opening my backpack, trying to take things out of my backpack. That's down the street here to the, right here on the north side of the old city. That heads to the Garden Tomb. Come to Jerusalem, you go to the Garden Tomb, that's the street most likely you'll be taking. There's other ways to get in there, of course, but that's directly across from, adjacent from the old city here. Kind of walk a little faster here. I want to make sure I get all this in. The Arab section. It's kind of almost like a cobblestone sidewalk here. That's why it's a little jarring every time well, the woman's covering her face. Hello, mister. Yeah, they don't like their picture taken. I can't blame them, and I try to keep it out of their faces. So here's the walls around the old city. Okay, we have the New Gate, the Damascus Gate, and I believe this would be Herod's Gate right here. We're still on the north side of the old city. If that's even a gate. Herod's Gate is on the north side, but King Solomon's quarters, it says there. Not that I believe anybody would know for sure, but that's what they claim it to be, and that's a tourist attraction. So let's head on down to the east side of the old city here. Here's the walls around the old city on this side. Oh, look at the stone that was built on. I think that's fascinating. You know, with all the volcanic eruptions and so forth, and look at how it's shaped. It's like in a wave, like it was on a mountain right there, obviously. You see how it goes down like that? And the wall's built up on top of that. Yeah, a lot of this is once underground. It's once underground. Like a Kotel, the Wailing Wall. That's not the, that's part of the temple, the second temple. But it was a footer that the temple was built on. So the temple was not standing. Like the Mashiach said, he said there won't be one stone left upon another. There wasn't. It's not as though the Wailing Wall existed and everything else fell. That Wailing Wall was a footer. It was a foundation for the temple, part of the foundation for the temple. We're heading to the east side of the old city here. There's people walking toward me, so I don't want to point the camera at them. The walls around the old city. And we're going to head to the east side of the city, and I'm going to turn the camera back on when we get there. It's pretty much the same here as we walk down to the east side. So I'll be shutting the camera off in a second. Take a look here. Door there built into the side of that hill, obviously dug out of the stone, the foundation there. And we're going to shut the camera off now. Yeah, we're still heading north. I want to get a picture of the walls here as we go by the gates. This would be the Herod Gate up here. Little room back there was just that, a little room. Here's the walls around the north. We're still in the northern side of the old city. That's the way we just came from over there. And we're going to head up here. And obviously all the well, there's some Jews sitting there too. Jewish man. So the northern side of the old city is pretty much all Arabs. I don't believe there's too many Jews, if any, that live on this side of the city here. Right around the old city, that is. Northern Israel is a vastly huge area, and there's lots and lots of Jews living in it. So this would be the Herod Gate. Obviously very small. I've never even been in it. Really have no desire to. See all the produce and putting out here. Oh, I have been through it, yeah. It's in the Muslim section, obviously. Okay, and unless I see something interesting, I'm going to shut the video camera off until we get to the corner of the northeast corner. To get to the northeast corner of the old city here. We're going to look at it before I shut the camera off. Surrounding areas. Oh, Muslim section. That would be Herod's Gate. There's no markings on it, but I believe that would be Herod's Gate. Okay, we're going to shut the camcorder off now until we get to the eastern side here. Heading down the hill. And we're still on the northern side, heading to the eastern side of the old city. I'm going to get a picture of the walls here for a little bit. So the walls extend around here about 2.8 miles. So the circumference of the city is like 2.8 miles, which is what we're going to be walking today. Rockefeller Museum. I think it's interesting. You look at the foundation or the stone. These walls were built on here. Okay, I think I said this 3 times already, but I'm going to shut the camera off now until we get the eastern side of the old city. Here we are on the east side of the old city. I'm looking out towards the Mount of Olives right now. That's the Mount of Olives. They call that tower there the Tower of Transfiguration. Supposedly, which of course is not true at all, but where the Messiah ascended up into heaven in Acts chapter 1. We're in the Arab section of town here. Like I said, I don't feel very comfortable being in here, but these are all Arab graves here, as you can see by the Arabic writing here on the tombstones. Take a view of this. There's the walls around the old city. Like I said, this is the eastern side of the old city. The Dome of the Rock was right ahead here. I'll get a big picture of that in a moment. There's the Dome of the Rock on the other side of that tree. We'll get a little closer there in a moment. I'm going to head down here. I'm going to get some views of the Messiah Gate. As I mentioned, it's also called the Golden Gate, the Eastern Gate, and the Messiah Gate. We're heading through a Arab section here now, Arab graveyard. Yeah, Jews, Arabs, and Christians all want to be buried here. the Jews and the Christians because of Zechariah chapter 14. It says the Messiah is going to split the Mount of Olives. Zechariah 14 verse 4. There's the Dome of the Rock over there. So we're going to get closer here. Boker Tov. There's the walls around the old city. This is the eastern side. And I should probably slow down a little bit. All the graveyards. It's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre across the way there. I'll get a better view of that. So that's the Mount of Olives you're looking at right there beyond the graveyard. These are all the Jewish tombs, graves over here where all these buses are parked. I'll get up here a little closer. And when we turn the corner here, you'll see the Messiah Gate. It's talked about in Ezekiel 43, I believe it is. It might be 44, but I think it's Ezekiel 43. It's called the Eastern Gate. I don't think I mentioned that name. It's the Eastern Gate, Messiah Gate, Golden Gate. Maybe I did. It's the Eastern Gate. But in Ezekiel chapter 43, it talks about the Eastern Gate, which is what we're going to be looking at right here in a moment. And it says, seal up. The Almighty says, seal up this gate. Because he says he walked through it, I believe, is the context there. He says, seal it up until the prince. The next one to walk through it is going to be the prince. That would be the Messiah. These walls here were built, I think I mentioned this previously, I'm sure I did, in the 1500s. 15 by Suleiman the Magnificent. Suleiman the Magnificent. There's the Golden Dome over there, Dome of the Rock. There's a Muslim prayer tower. These are Muslim prayer towers. When you're driving down the street and you see one, that's what you're looking at. You're in an Arab section. There's one straight ahead of us there. It's the Muslim prayer towers. We're going to head down here and make I'm not sure what the name of this gate is right here leading into the old city. I never come in this side of the old city except to take the video. But that's going into the old city. There's a wall here, the wall of the old city. And like I said, I'm not sure what section, what gate that would be. And I can't go that way, so I'm going to have to go down the hill and back up. So I'm going to shut the video off till I get down the hill here. Here we are at the bottom of the hill. That's the gate up there that I just came from. I'm going to head down the road here towards the Mount of Olives. The Mount of Olives is right across the way, which I'll stop and take a view of that. I'm going to head down here around the corner. I'll get some better views around the corner. Too noisy here with all the traffic. But there's the Mount of Olives across the way. It looks like a Greek Orthodox church there with the golden domes on top. That's the Garden of Gethsemane there, down the hill with all the buses lined up in front of it. All the tour buses, of course. Yeah, supposedly there's a 2,000-year-old olive tree in there, which I seriously doubt is authentic or actually 2,000 years old. Everything here in Israel, it's most of it's owned by the Greek Orthodox. The Greek Orthodox own most of the land here, and Israel rents it off of them. the British mandate that they signed back in 1948, they rent the land for 100 years. 100 years. So if somebody, you can't buy the land here, you can rent it off the Greek Orthodox who own most of the land in Israel. Most of the land in Jerusalem. And I believe most of the land in Israel. So I'm going to shut this off. There's the Garden of Gethsemane over there, and the church they built around supposedly the stone that the Messiah prayed over, which I seriously doubt. And a little garden outside is called the Garden of Gethsemane, all the olive trees. Those are all the graves over there. I'll get a better view from the top. I'm going to shut the video off till I get to the top. Yeah, there's the Garden of Gethsemane and the church they built around, like I was mentioning earlier, the stone that the Messiah supposedly prayed on the night he went to the garden. It's a beautiful garden down here, park. More graves. Look at all the graves over there. It's a graveyard. It's not a park. That's the Mount of Olives we're looking at right there. All the gravestones over here. That's the church and the Garden of Gethsemane right there. The garden's right next to it. And you're looking at the Mount of Olives over there. And behind me is the eastern walls of the old city. Look at all the graves over here. Which I'm going to head up the hill here and get a closer look at the Messiah Gate. This is right above me here. That's it right there. We're going to head up that way. I'll get some more views, pictures, videos as I head up the road here. Yeah, we're on the southeast corner of the building. Here's the wall here. I think I mentioned earlier, the wall around the old city goes from 5 meters to 15 meters. That looks a little more than 15 meters to me. But anyway, we're on the, I'll take a view of it when I come down the hill here so you can see how the actual size of that. But I'm going to head to the Messiah Gate. I had to walk all the way around in a loop over here and go back now. I'm going to go back and head to the Messiah Gate. And I'll take a video of that wall coming back down the hill here. There's the Mount of Olives on the other side of me over here again, all the grave sites. See all the grave sites over here? Incredible, thousands of them, literally. So then I'm going to zoom in. Yeah, all the graves on the side of the Mount of Olives because of Zechariah 14. They want to be there when the mountain splits, when the Messiah comes back. I want to be there too, and I plan on being there, Yahweh willing. My prayer for a long time is that I'm there when the Messiah comes back. When he splits the Mount of Olives, I'm going to be at the base of it. And heading through the opening that he's going to make. So it's going to divide from the north to the south. It means right here, there's going to be a big opening going right through the mountain. It's the Mount of Olives down there with all the grave sites. Tour buses, of course, are all lined up there because they went to the Garden of Gethsemane, which is ahead up here a little bit. I'm going to shut this off till I get to the Messiah Gate. Here we are at the Messiah Gate. Messiah Gate, Golden Gate, Eastern Gate. You can see that it's all sealed up. Like I said, there's a prophecy in Ezekiel 43, I believe it is, possibly 44. The Almighty tells Ezekiel that this gate is going to be sealed up until the Messiah comes through it. And that's the reason it was sealed up. There's a Muslim caliphate, I forgot the name, but he sealed it up because of that prophecy. Now recognizing that he's fulfilling the prophecy by sealing up the gate. That's if that's actually the right gate, because the walls around the old city here were built, like I said, around the 1500s, 1538, something like that. By a man, Arab, a Muslim named Suleiman the Great, Suleiman the Magnificent. So he built the walls around this city. So do I believe that the Messiah, this is a city the Messiah is going to be living in? No, personally I don't. I think this is all going to be torn down. Notice all the grave sites here, just rows and rows of Muslim. These are all Muslim, Arab grave sites we're looking at. I'm not sure. I know there's a bridge that the Arabs think are going to be built from the Mount of Olives to the old city. You could look that up and Google it, and I forgot what that was all about. But I think they might have done it to desecrate the area here, because if this is where the Messiah, the Prince, is going to be coming through, and they planted all these graveyards. They made a graveyard of it out front. I'm thinking that's why they did it. But there's the Messiah Gate. I mentioned earlier the Jaffa portion of this video, at the end of the video of the tours around the old city. That was taken today, January 6, 2016. The rest of the video of the tours around the old city, which this segment is going to be in, it was taken in November of 2012. So like I said, I'm taking this video of the Messiah Gate in the eastern side of the old city today, January 6, 2016. So if you notice the contrast with it being a bright sunny day in the video, and all of a sudden here we are in the eastern side of the old city, and it's cloudy out, you'll know why. Because it was taken 4 years later, this portion here. You could hear the Muslim prayer towers going over there. The Muslims, I forgot how many times a day they pray, 4 times or something like that. But anyway, they have loudspeakers on all the prayer towers. And that's what you're listening to now. Well, he just stopped. Must have heard me talking about him. But these are the Muslim prayer towers. I pointed out earlier, there's one over there. These are all Muslims' graves over here. On the other side of the road there, this is the Kidron Valley that runs down below. I'll turn the camera around in a moment. Here's the walls around the old city here. I don't think I zoomed that in, did I? Again, there's the Messiah Gate. All the grave sites. Heading back south. I'm turning the camera southward. The grave sites. And like I said, where this road is at down here, this is the Kidron Valley. Kidron Valley Run. It's talked about a number of times in the Bible, of course. Heading out the, which is going to be later on in this video, heading out the Dung Gate. It's called the Dung Gate because I mentioned this earlier, or I'll mention it later when we get up to that. It's called the Dung Gate because all the dung, all the trash was thrown out of that gate into the Kidron Valley. It's called the Valley of Gehanim, or Gehenna in the Greek, in the English, Gehenna. Valley of Gehanim. That's that you're looking at was the Kidron Valley at one time. Ran around the old city. The old city, the reason they think David chose this site here for this city was because it was protected on 3 sides by a valley. There's a valley, the Kidron Valley goes around it, and then on the south side there's a valley that goes around it, and on the west side. The only way you can access this city if the Israelites were to be attacked would have been from the north. That's the reason I believe David chose this spot. It had its own built-in defenses with the valley all around the old city, around the mountain here, Mount Zion. So let's head back. I want to get a shot of that the corner of the city over there that we're looking at up close. You really couldn't estimate how high it was from being right in front of it, so I want to go back there and get a picture of that. Maybe I'll leave this go and the video go until I get back there. There's nothing really to see here except a bunch of gravestones. Like I said, these are all Arab gravestones. You can tell by the Aramaic writing, or Arabic, not Aramaic, Arabic writing on the headstones. And I think I'm late for hanging some curtains for a friend. If she happens to watch this video, which I'll have posted on the website, she'll know I'm talking about her. As soon as I take this shot here, I'm going to insert it into this tours around the old city. That'll complete the tour. And I'm going to head out to a town called Talpiot. Thank Yahweh that I made it through here safely. The tour of the Damascus, the Arab section. around the back here. This is all Arab section too. There's nobody back here except Arabs. Church that they built over the supposed stone that the Messiah was at before he was impaled. And let's head down here. Yeah, I have a number of pictures that I have to post on the website taken from the Mount of Olives looking back at the old city here. Well, a number of pictures of everything, but there's one of this corner here and it's really impressive. Taken from the Mount of Olives looking back in the old city in this southeast corner that I'm in a video right here. It's probably the highest section of wall around the old city. I'm thinking about it, I think it has to be the highest section of the wall around the old city. There it is. It's the wall in the southeast corner of the old city. I think we can assume that these bottom layers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the six layers up, and over here a little bit higher, it might have been part of the original wall, or possibly. The city was torn down and built up so many times over the years. Like I said, the walls we're looking at now are from the 16th century. But you can see the difference in the size here. And then over here it looks like these might have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly 8 and part of the 9th course of stone there. And then after that, obviously, the rest of them were added much, much later. Just looking back at where we just came from. That's going to conclude the segment of the eastern side of the old city and the Messiah Gate. Like I said, I'm going to add this to the video, a tour of the walls around the old city. And if you see a contrast in the maybe sunlight and it's cloudy out now, this segment here, the eastern side of the old city, was taken today, January 6, 2016. And the other portion was taken back in November 2nd, I believe, 2012. Now we're going to head around to the south side of the old city. It's the Kidron Valley up ahead there. That concludes this segment of the tour of the walls around the old city. Okay, we're standing here in the southeast corner of the old city. This is the southeast corner of the city here. And we just left the Mashiach Gate back there, and I tried explaining some of the what went on here. Initially David captured the city from the Jebusites, and then it was torn down in 586 by the Babylonians. And then Agrippa, King Agrippa, around 40, 41, 44 BCE, Well, when the Jews came out of captivity from Babylon, Ezra and Nehemiah and so forth, I was saying you read that in the book of Ezra, they rebuilt the walls around the city, but they were nothing compared to the magnificence that Solomon had prior to that, before it was destroyed. And then King Agrippa, around 41-44 BCE, he rebuilt the city and made it the magnificent place that it was. In AD 70, the Second Temple period, he rebuilt that. In AD 70, the Romans came in and they sacked Jerusalem again, killed approximately 2 million Jews who were in the city observing the Feast of Passover at Pesach. And in AD 70, they tore down the city again. And they leveled it. And like the Mashiach said, not one stone was left upon another. They leveled it and they chased the Jews out, and the Jews came back, kind of repopulated it. Never resettled it, of course, but repopulated it. And then in 135, I mentioned the Bar Kokhba rebellion. I believe I talked about that a little bit in the last segment there. And after that, the Jews were thrown out for 500 years. They weren't allowed back into the city, period. And then the Crusaders came along and they captured, well, the Muslims got a hold of the city after that, and the Crusaders came in around 1099, the First Crusade, Christian Crusades. They were not nice people. You could read about them in history. And they recaptured the city from the Muslims. And then Saladin, the famous Muslim leader, Saladin, pretty interesting stories about him. You might want to take a look. I'm not promoting Islam, of course, but these people were fair. When he recaptured the city in about 1187, I believe, he recaptured the city from the Crusaders around 1187 AD. And he permitted the Jews to come back in. So it was a Muslim leader, Saladin, that permitted the Jews to come back into the city. And then after that, maybe around 1221, 30 years after 1187, the city was torn down, the walls were torn down, then it was built back up, and it was torn down, and it was built back up, torn down. This all happened within a period of like 100 years. You know, somebody'd come in, they'd build it back up, 30, 40, 50 years later, they'd tear it back down. And finally, the walls we're looking at here were in 1538. I believe it was 1538 they were built. The walls around the old city. That's what we have here today. By another Muslim leader called Suleiman the Magnificent. And I believe that was in 1538. So these walls we're looking at around the old city now are 600 years old, 500 years old, 600 years old, 500 years old. So it was eventually Suleiman the Magnificent that built the old city up again. I mentioned David. We're going to head around the southern side of the old city now. This is the southern side we're looking at. We just left the eastern side. And as we go along here, I'll describe a little bit more about David. They believe the original city was first up here in the southwest corner, which we're going to be going by. They believe that was the original city of David, that David built. And then when Solomon extended the walls of the city, during Solomon's reign, he extended the walls of the city, extended them north. And then, like I said, over the years, they got torn down, built up, torn down, built up. So really, they think David's original city might be actually some of it outside of the southwest corner here, which we'll be taking a look at in a moment. I think that's pretty interesting, pretty significant too. This is a Kidron Valley here. Kidron Valley's talked a lot about in the Bible. It's K-I-D-R-O-N, Kidron Valley. Not a lot, but a number of times it's mentioned. And that's what we're looking at here, the Kidron Valley. Of course, on the other side are all Arab sections over here. And then we get into southern Jerusalem over here. On the other side of the hill over here, that would be Jews. Jews and Arabs. Jews and Arabs live together in a lot of these towns. They live together in harmony. It's unbelievable. But when you get close to the West Bank, if you happen to be an Arab and you have a Jewish friend, you could very well die. They'll kill you as a what do they call them? They'll consider you like a spy for the Israeli government. And you could be killed if you have a Jewish friend. So here the Jews and Arabs aren't so friendly to each other. But you go in other towns like Tel Aviv, for instance. Met some wonderful Arab people up there in Tel Aviv. Not so much down here. When they see you're a Jew, they pretty much snarl at you. So we're going to take a walk around now. We're on the southern side of the old city. Let's take a quick look, and I'm going to shut the camera off until we get around here. And we'll pick it back up in front of the Dung Gate when we get by the Dung Gate. Another shot of the eastern side of the city, the walls. They kind of extend out a little bit over here. That would be the Al-Aqba Mosque. It's in the courtyard of the Dome of the Rock right there. That's what that dome's about. You see the walls come out over here, and then they go up the hill. And we're going to head up the hill there. And the next gate we'll be coming to will be the Dung Gate. Let me get on the other side here. Get a better shot of this side of the city. This is the southeast corner of the old city walls. This is the Al-Aqba Mosque. See all the ruins here. And we're going to head up the hill here. Here we are outside what's known as the Dung Gate, D-U-N-G. Yep, you got it right, Dung Gate. The reason it's called that is because of the Valley of Gehenna, which is down in the Kidron Valley there. Gehenna, where a lot of people are familiar with. It's a word translated hell in some Bibles. It wasn't hell, it was a trash dump outside the city where people would come and dump their trash. And this is pretty much the gate they would have used. That's why it's called the Dung Gate. There's the Mount of Olives from where we just came. Up the hill here. I'm still a little bit out of breath. I want to get around to the front here and get on with the day as soon as I get this done. So this is the Dung Gate. This is a popular gate. I'd say the Jaffa Gate is probably the most popular gate in the city. We're going to be passing by that yet. But the Dung Gate is where all the tourist buses and so tourist bus come into. The Wailing Wall is right on the other side here. See if we can get a quick look at it without going all the way in. See where the tourists go through up here. The tour buses go up through. They park on the other side there. Outside here. This is all the Jewish quarter here now. This is in the northwest corner, the Jewish quarter. And as I mentioned, that's where David first built his city, was in the, southwest corner, not north, southwest corner. There's the wall, the Wailing Wall right there, the hotel. See that brown bridge there? That's the ramp that leads up into the Dome of the Rock. So if somebody wants to go up there, that's the way they get there. And right on the other side of that brown bridge, that walkway, is the Dome of the Rock. And we're inside the walls of the old city right now. We'll take a look around here a little bit. There are a bunch of gunshots going off. That's coming from the Arab section down there in the Kidron Valley. They do that quite often. I think especially on the Shabbats, they shoot off guns and fireworks and so forth, because they know the Jews are trying to rest. So this is looking in here. We're inside the walls here on the south side of the old city, Jerusalem. And like I said, there's a Kidron Valley over there. I mean, the Kidron Valley down there, the Mount of Olives there. Those are all grave sites that you're looking at, all gravestones on the side of the mountain. Comes a tour group heading back out. We're going to head back out ourselves. And let's head back out here. Heading back out the Dung Gate. There you go. There's the sign right here. The Dung Gate. And we're going to head back outside the walls and head up the hill and around the corner to the Jaffa Gate, and that will conclude this tour of the walls around the old city. So let me shut this off for now. I'll take a look back at the gate when I get out here a little bit. You can get another shot of the Dung Gate. I guess it's a popular gate, but I'd say the most popular gate would be the Jaffa Gate, which we haven't gotten to yet. And the Damascus Gate. Not as popular as either one of these two, but... And here's the Dung Gate. Big tour group coming out here. Yeah, this is November. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of crowded. This is usually rainy season. It hasn't been raining a whole lot. It's November 2nd, I believe today is, 2012. I lose track of time sometimes. It's the Kidron Valley down here. It's all Arab sections down there, and we're going to head up the hill here. And here's the walls. Let me get a shot of the walls. We're going to head up to the corner there, and then we'll be on the west side of the city. Right now we're on the south side of the city. Get a shot of some of the surrounding area here. It's outside the Dung Gate. Well, up until 1860, I think I mentioned this, but up until 1860, the walls around this city, this was Jerusalem. This is the only portion of Jerusalem up until that time. And then it extended out north quite a bit more. Extended, and of course the city is huge now. But up until the 1960s, the walls around this city constituted the city of Jerusalem. Today it's just a tourist attraction. Like I said, I think I said there's roughly 2,500 Jews that live in the old city. 22,000 Muslims live in the old city, and there's some Christians and Armenians that live here too, but primarily the Muslims, even though Israel controls it. Now, up until 1948, it was controlled. Up until 1967, in 48 it was taken over by the Jordanians. In the 67 war, Israel captured the old city back. I think I mentioned the Israeli paratroopers came in, took the city back. But up until that time, the Jews were not permitted to live in it by the Jordanians. They were thrown out by the Arabs. And of course, when they got control of it, they were permitted to live in it once more. Excuse me. Let me turn the camera off till we get to the top there. Okay, we're just about to the top southwest corner of the walls of the old city. This is looking back towards the Mount of Olives. As I mentioned, the Kidron Valley's out this way here. And this is the southwest corner we're at right now. And these are the walls around the old city. I'll get to the corner there and I'll take a picture looking back. These are the walls of the old city. These are all olive trees here, of course. The olives are ripe right now for picking. That's why all these trees, some of them, if they're hard to get at, you'll see the olives on them, but otherwise the Arabs come through here and pick all the olives off the trees that are on public property here, such as where we're at right now. These are all olive trees here. Okay, let's go up to the corner there and we'll take a look back. It's the corner. There's the gunshots. That's coming from the Arab section. I think one of the more notorious villages in the area, I can't think of the name of it right now, but an Arab village is south of the old city here, down in the valley. Anyway, we're going to go to the top here. We'll take a look at take a look back when we get to the top corner there. And then we're going to head north. We'll be on the west side of the city, and we're going to head north. Okay, we're on the north side of the city now. As I mentioned, there's a lot of cameras there. You see Israel has cameras all over the place. And this gate is, I'm trying to think of the name of it now. This gate leads into David's tomb. David's tomb is back here, behind me here. This gate leads into the city, of course, in the Jewish quarter. The city of David is back here. You can see that in one of the video clips. The city of David, David's tomb. We're going to head...
Let's enjoy the little shade we took.
I'll take a walk in here just to see what it's like. Then we'll come back out and we're going to head to the Jaffa Gate. Yeah, we're inside the old city now. We're just on the other side of the wall. Now we're inside. This is the Jewish quarter, as I mentioned. See, a lot of shops aren't even open yet. A lot of shops aren't even open yet. It's the Kidron Valley there, looking back at the Kidron Valley on the east side of the city. These are the walls around the inside. Let's go back outside here and head to Jaffa Gate. Tourist. Yeah, we're heading along the wall here. Yeah, I apologize. I think I said that's the northern side. It's really it's kind of like goes catty corner in the north-south southwest corner here. Kind of goes a little bit catty corner, like cuts off the corner, and the wall takes off in a little diagonal position. The north side is up here coming ahead, and actually the south side, we're like on the southwest side right now. The south side is around that corner, and we're in the southwest side. I'm sorry, yeah, the southwest side. And the western wall, western side of the city will be up here. We're about to turn the corner when we get up there. Now I'll shut this camera off till we get there. And here we are on the western side of the old city. These are the steps here we just came down. It's in the south side, really west side. And this is the west side of the old city here. The walls around the west side. We'll take a walk up here. The Jaffa Gate's up here. As I mentioned a couple times, I think that it's probably the most popular gate in the old city. There's 7 gates in the old city. You have the Jaffa Gate, the New Gate. You have Jaffa Gate on the west side, and on the north side you have the New Gates, called the New Gate. And you got the Damascus Gate, Herod's Gate. On the east side you have the Mashiach Gate, or the Lion's Gate, Golden Gate. It's called by all those names. On the south side you have the Dung Gate. This is looking west over the city of Jerusalem now. You see that windmill over there. That was built by a man, an Englishman named Montefiore back in the 1860s. Here's a little video clip. It's Yemen Moshe. Here's a video clip I believe I have on it. Walking through, it's an artist colony over there. I believe I have a video posted on the site, the remnantofisrael.org. remnantofisrael.org. I have a video posted of Yemen Moshe, which is what you're looking at right now. That was an artist colony. It's the western side of the old city we're at right now, and here's the walls around the city. And we're going to go up to the Jaffa Gate. Yeah, I'd come here on Shabbat once in a while and sit in the grass and read the scriptures. You could walk around the walls of this city. There's a nice fella from Holland. I believe he has a ministry. Well, he has a ministry. He calls himself the Watchman on the Wall, but real nice fella. Takes people on tours while he goes up to the top of the wall. You have to pay getting up there. It's probably like 50 shekels to get on top of the wall there. That wall is like 6 feet thick. 6 feet thick. He takes people up there and they walk around. He'll stop every now and then and talk about a Bible passage or something. Nice man. If you ever come to Jerusalem, you go to the Jaffa Gate and wait for him. It's early in the morning, like about 9:30. And then they have free tours of Jerusalem too if you come to Jaffa. I mean, if you come to Jerusalem here at the Jaffa Gate. They have free tours. Your guy takes you on a tour. They have about maybe 10 different ones. And when you get done, you pay them whatever you want to pay them. 50 shekels, 100 shekels, whatever you feel it was worth. Like I said, this is the west side of the old city here. I think I mentioned that up until 1860, this was the entire city of Jerusalem inside these walls. And now, of course, it's a massive city. This is looking out over the west side here. And we're gonna head up to the Jaffa Gate. So I'm gonna shut the video off until I get there. Till we get up here a little bit anyway. Here we are at the Jaffa Gate. This portion of the video, the entire video of the tour of the walls around the old city was taken back in 2012. I believe November 2nd, something like that. Today is January 6th, 2016. I found the videos in my archives in my computer and I decided to post it. And when I was watching through it, I noticed I didn't have the segment about the Messiah Gate or the Jaffa Gate. So I'm going to take those today and I'm going to add it to the video. This is the Jaffa Gate. Normally it's a lot more crowded than this. A beautiful day out, it's probably 60 degrees on January 6th. But normally it's a lot more crowded here than this, but there was a couple terrorist attacks right over here. Straight ahead there, right where that man with the green bag is at. Actually back a little further. And a couple Israelis got killed and the terrorists got killed, of course. So I think I know a lot of people are saying it's a lot quieter in Jerusalem as far as tourists are concerned because of the terrorist attacks that are going on. People aren't coming here. There's a Mamilla Mall down there. I'm going to take a walk through that when I get done here, done with the Jaffa Gate. I'm thinking about walking to the Damascus Gate, taking a tour of the Damascus Gate today. I'll see how that goes. But this is the Jaffa Gate. There's a drive-through gate right here. And there's a walk-in gate over there, which is where we're going to go. But the rest of this video, the tours, I ended up over here. Yeah, the glare of the sun is in the way now, so. That's David's Tower there. David's Tower. Actually, David had nothing to do with it. It was built by a Muslim in the 15th century. It was an Arab prayer tower. And now they enclosed that area off inside the city there, and they call it the Museum of David. The Tower of David Museum is what they call it. Like I said, the tower has nothing to do with David. And that's where the rest of the video, where I ended up, the last portion came from. That's looking south there. That's the southwest corner of the old city back there. That's the south side of Jerusalem. German colonies over there. There's the artist colony right here where that windmill's at, if you can see that windmill. That was built by a man named Moshe Montefiore back in the 1800s, I think around 1860 or something. And that whole artist colony was founded by him, Moshe Montefiore. So we're going to go inside the man gate here at the Jaffa Gate. I'm going to cut the video off now, and this is going to end the tour of the walls around the old city. Sorry about the moving around the camera a lot. I'm not a photographer, but I hope you got an idea of what it looks like anyway. Like I said, we're going to go through the man gate now, and then I'm going to shut the video off. And I think I may walk down to the Damascus Gate and take a tour of the old city to the Damascus Gate. So let's go inside here and see what happens. There's the border patrol guards there. You see these young women over here? They're some probably 18, 19 years old. Yeah, it was a real tragedy what happened. There's a couple terrorists stabbed a rabbi over here, right down there. And another Israeli man came by and he was helping. He had one of the terrorists on the ground. He was kicking him. And one of the border patrol agents, not one of these women right here, but one of them, came by thinking he was the terrorist, and she shot him. Terrible thing. In the paper, the daughter of the man that got shot wanted to talk to the border patrol agent and tell her that she understood. It was an accident, and there's no hard feelings at all for what happened. Realizing how bad this woman must feel for what she did. So here's the man gate here. Here's free tours that they have here. They're free. You pay at the end of the tour. If you want to donate something, you can. They have them every day here, I think, at 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So come to the old city, you could take a free tour. I went on one. They're actually very good. These guys are professionals. They know what they're talking about. So let's go in through the man gate here. And here's the man gate. And we're gonna walk in there. Here we are inside the old city. I'm going to walk up a little bit and I'll take a picture of the gate we just walked through. I have to remember not to move too fast with this camera. That's the Jaffa Gate that we just came through there. Money changer's office, a tourist information. And this is looking back over the old city over here. That concludes the tour of the walls of the old city. I have to get a segment of the Messiah Gate, which I'm going to insert inside this video, but hopefully I'll do that today. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.